Good morning, guys. This morning I'm going to talk to you about tobacco and a hawk moth. So a hawk moth is a type of moth, and this is like not really the same one, but it is a type of moth that's found pretty much all over North America. And here's one we found this summer. No, just kidding. Actually, that's a sphinx moth, which they're in the same family, kind of similar. That's a caterpillar of the sphinx moth, which looks a little bit like the hawk moth caterpillar. We found that one eating our tomatoes. The hawk moth, the tobacco hawk moth, can you guess what it likes to eat? It likes to eat tobacco. So the tobacco plant is one of its favorite foods. Tobacco plant looks a little bit like this. Actually, this summer I found this tobacco plant along the American River Parkway. You can find that out there too. It is related to the tobacco that we use for cigarettes, but not exactly the same plant. What I'm going to talk to you about today is the way that these moths find their food. They find the tobacco plant by smelling, and these plants release all kinds of chemicals into the air. These little chemicals are the way that we smell things, that you and I smell things, that dogs smell things, that butterflies and moths smell things. These are chemicals we detect, and that way we know what's going on. We know what's for breakfast, we know what's for dinner, we know where there's danger in some cases, and we don't have as good a sense of smell as some animals. In fact, if it was a sense of life or death or survival depended on it, we would have a much better sense of smell. The tobacco hawk moth really needs that good sense of smell so that it can find the plants that it survives on. One thing that happens when we have pollution in our atmosphere, you have all these extra particles that are getting in the way of those scents. That makes it difficult for the hawk moth to find its food. It's a little like looking through a box of Legos, trying to find that one perfect piece in amongst all of these other ones. Is that it? Another problem is that some of those particles in the atmosphere are reacting with the chemical scents. So let's say you have a molecule of one of those chemical scents floating in the atmosphere, and you've got, let's say this is the molecule. This molecule, if it reacts with some of the molecules that are part of pollution, like say ozone is 3 atoms of oxygen stuck together. Ozone will react with this. Once sunlight hits it, one of those oxygens pops off, and that oxygen does something we call oxidizing. It will attach to one of the ends of this, and it will steal some, and it will either change the shape of the whole molecule, which will change its scent, or it will completely break it apart, and then you have maybe 2 different scent molecules, or something that doesn't even register as a scent molecule. It is something we call oxidation, and it is a problem when these hawk moths are trying to find the food that they need. So there's a study published last week talking about how could we make this easier for the hawk moths. If they have a new scent in the air to identify the tobacco plant that is different from the old scent, can we train them to recognize what that new scent is, the new ozone modified scent? So here we have a hawk moth, and the hawk moth is thirsty. It's going to go to the tobacco plant to get its food, to get the nectar, and it's going to land on that. Normally, once it smells those particles of scent chemicals in the air, it will be attracted to the plant, and it'll stick out its great big long tongue, because it's got a straw kind of tongue, and it will slurp up the nectar from the plant. We have a modified situation here. The researchers were trying to see, can we train this hawk moth to go to a plant that has the ozone influenced smell? So what the researchers did, they took a color of a fake tobacco plant, and they added some of those ozone influenced chemicals, and then sure enough, the hawk moth came along with its straw and slurped it up,